Bonsoir. Welcome back to Saku's 100 Questions. This is episode 6. Are you ready for your questions? I'm ready. S'il vous plaît. Saku, you do comedy both in America and in Japan. Tell us about Japanese comedy. I'm ready. Explain the different styles of comedy in Japan. There are a lot of comedy styles in Japan actually, and I heard American people say Japanese comedy is slapstick. I don't think it's true. If they understand Japanese language, they're gonna realize there are a lot of comedy delivery. For example, Manzai has been one of the mainstream comedy styles in Japan since 70s. You can imagine Abbott and Costello styles, full man and straight man. Also, there's a traditional Japanese storytelling called rakugo. It's like our performers sit down and talk the stories, so it's also called sit-down comedy. But stories are basically passed on from master to pupil over 400 years. But the thing is, many Japanese people believe that manzai is very original in Japan. But the fact is, Entatsu Achako, their godfather of Japanese manzai, visited America in 1929 and watched Charlie Chaplin and Abbott and Costello and got inspired by them and brought it back to Japan and brushed it up for Japanese audience. So yeah, only few people know in Japan. Actually, I read the book in university and that's how I got credit and graduated from. Thank you so much. Is comedy material different in Japan? I would say yes. Generally speaking, on Japanese television, comedians don't talk about politics. I'm such a political comedian, that's why I am here in America. But seriously, most of Japanese comedians talk about daily lives. In my opinion, compared to America, there are fewer races in Japan, and we basically share the same lifestyle. So daily lives can be the comedy material. But in America, there are so many kinds of people and daily lives cannot be the only material. That's why we talk about politics, religion, drug, sex, and everything. Yeah. Is there any comedy class in Japan? Yeah, I think this is the most common way to become a comedian nowadays. Also, big comedy agency has run comedy school since 1982, and many great comedians came from that comedy school. And traditionally, if you want to be a comedian, you can find a master and become his pupil, and you do basically chores like household, everything for him, and learn many things from him, especially comedy principle. And you can be on stage finally. In my case, I don't belong to any agency and I have no master in Japan, so I'm like a lone wolf. How is the Japanese audience different from American? Well, it depends of course, but I would say Japanese audience are more passive than Americans. Also, most of the shows are held in proper theater in Japan, not like a shitty bar. So no one threw a Heineken bottle, and no one get drunk, and no one heckles at me. That's the difference. But seriously, as I told, manzai has been big in Japan, so people are used to manzai style. It means there's straight man and full man, and when full man makes a joke, straight man corrected the mistake, and it's a sign for audience, like let's laugh at together now. So that's why when I'm doing comedy on stage by myself, people don't know when they should laugh. That's why I have to let them know, like, hey, you have to laugh at my joke now. That's tough. Yep. Is there any stand-up comedy culture in Japan? Actually, stand-up comedy culture is very new to Japan. So, not everyone knows what stand-up is. So my goal is to build the stand-up comedy culture in Japan, kind of from scratch. So I gotta be on the radio show and TV show to talk about what stand-up is and share my experience in the world.